accordance with the Sunshine Law, notice of time, date, and place has been furnished to the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News. Notice has also been posted on the Bulletin Board of the Administration Building. Would the clerk kindly take the roll?
Mayor Giordano.
Here.
Mr. Bjork.
Here.
Mrs. McNamara.
Here.
Mr. Orovitz.
Here.
Mr. Schatz.
Here.
Mr. Shalero.
Here.
Mrs. Sherman.
Here.
Everyone kindly rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us have a moment of silence to honor the memory of all our Waldwick veterans and all veterans across our country who have given the ultimate sacrifice, keeping us all free. Would the clerk kindly do the prayer?
We thank you for everyone gathered here now. Thank you that you know each of us by name and have caused us to walk with you. We say that we are dependent on you and our trust is in you completely. As we surrender ourselves in adoration, we ask that you would come by your Holy Spirit and inspire our hearts today. Come fill our lives with your love, fill our conversations with your grace and truth, fill this meeting with your presence. We ask this for your glory and praise. Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. I'd like to welcome the Waldwick High School soccer team here tonight as we honor you for winning the NJSIAA Group 1 State Championship. It was a great honor for me on Saturday night to ride in a police car with Police Officer Chris Sanchez as we brought you back home to the town that you made so proud. In 1995 was the first time that you won this title, and this year you made sure that you brought this honor back to our home Waldwick. You've worked very hard to achieve this great honor. You've all played like true warriors that you are. This was not done just by yourselves. A lot of people had a lot to do with it. You had your coaches, you had your teachers, you had your fellow classmates, you had all of Warrior Nation, but mostly you had your parents who supported you through all this, who showed you love and never forgot to let you know how great you all are. Everyone here who is on the team should be very proud of what you have achieved. And tonight we are all here to thank you and to congratulate you. By your actions, it is definitely known that Waldwick Nation, or Warrior Nation, is alive and strong in Waldwick. And you have made sure that you kept that honor alive. And now the only other thing you have to do is, you can't wait 20-something years, you got to do it again next year. So you got to push your coaches and you got to push your parents to make sure that you do the best you could do, be the best as you can be, and always remember, no matter what happens, in the eyes of all of us here in Waldwick, you are true heroes. And I want to thank you all very much. And on behalf of the mayor and council, we would like to present you with this certificate of recognition. I'm going to just call your names up, and if you would kindly come up here and stand here, because I guess your families would love to take pictures. If I attack your names the wrong way, please forgive me. First is Captain Owen Strigill. Captain Kyle Carroll. Captain Kyle Janik. Very good. Very good. Victor Lara Orellana. Noah Yazern. Jake Carroll. Not here. I figured. Brandon Fednick. Nicholas Bramrick. should have started from the bottom. Axel De Silva. Joseph Raffaelli. Alejandro Milo Rosado. Daniel Perdomo. Julian Ruhlman. Thomas Minavini. Zachary Weinkoff. Almis Kadiri. Jake Johnson. Alexandra Manziano. Connor Dillon. Nicholas Ciano. Patrick Kilgallen. Alex Dickman. Philip Centenio. Hudson Davis. Matthew Youngklaus. Anthony Scardino. Frank Kasbrowitz. Andrew Garcia. Brendan Ryan. Emmett Ryan. Soccer manager Aiden Samperi. Video manager Marcelo Ayala. Video manager Ari Giberson. Coach Joseph Kelly. Coach Sean Cosgrove. And last but not least, head coach Jonathan Nokchese. Sure. I'd like everyone to kindly rise for our heroes. And these are for the guys.
I just want to thank the mayor and the town council for giving us that welcome home. I live in Wayne, New Jersey. It's a pretty large town, and I've always thought what it would be like to, I've been teaching here and coaching for 25 years, and just to finally see what it's like to be in a town like Waldwick, small town. We arrive, the fire trucks, how great was that, guys? It was amazing. We thank all of you for setting that up because it was wonderful. Thank you all for the support. Of course, thank the parents. They're wonderful. And these guys are amazing. So give it up for them again.
We're gonna get some pictures.
Take a 2-minute break and honor everybody. We're going to continue with the meeting. Under the mayor's reports, just a couple of items. First, this year we are having, once again, the mayor's holiday house decorating contest. It will be published on our website. It will be published also on our emails and everything else that we send out to the community. What we're going to do is we're going to have 3 categories: best overall, which would be a $100 cash prize, and the key to the borough. Most creative, $50 cash prize and key to the borough. We have nice keys we had made up, so it'll be very appreciative. And most outlandish, $50 cash prize and key to the borough. And then we're going to have a business category, which will be the best storefront display. That will win a pizza party for 10 of their employees. Entries are to be submitted via email to info@waldwicknj.org by 4 p.m. on Thursday, December 16th. Judging will take place on the evening of December 20th, 2021. There will be 5 judges. All of them are not members of the borough, or they will be either driven around in a police vehicle or a fire truck to the different homes so that they could judge. And then the next day we will announce the winners. And then probably in the January, we'll have them here to receive their gift. Also, the other day I met with our 2 council-elect, and we went through all their committees that they will be on this year. The rest of the council will receive your committee's email probably this weekend. And we had a nice conversation about how, the town operates. They also met with our clerk and also met with our administrator, and they were taught, or not taught, they were told about everything that they need to know about starting their role as a council. That's all I have to report. Financial and Administrative Committee, Mr. Shalera.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a meeting earlier this week, which was yesterday, of the Bergen County Joint Insurance Fund. Since the League of Municipalities was last week, we didn't have the meeting on our regular third Thursday. Several of us attended the League of Municipalities, heard some interesting and informative speakers, and got to talk to a number of vendors that could potentially provide us with support and services. But at the Joint Insurance Fund meeting, we approved the budget for 2022. I have our assessment, which I'll share with our administrator. We can incorporate that into our budget for 2022 as well. One change that was announced that was very interesting is the JIF offers accreditation for police departments, and if you go through the process, there's some special certifications that you get and discounts on our policy. They just announced the introduction of a certified fire department program, which will be similar. Whereas if your fire department goes through the training recommended by the JIF, we could get credit on our premiums as well. So I'm sure we'll be getting more information as this is a very, very new program. They've been working on it throughout the year and just finalized it this week. So I'm sure in the new year there'll be a lot more information coming out. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Fire and Police Protection Committee, Mr. Orvitz.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor. No report tonight.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Mr. Schatz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did want to talk about I met with the Planning Board on November 3rd, and we had 4 resolutions passed and 5 applications. So it's been the last couple long nights, the last couple months on the Planning Board meeting. I also have the Ambulance Corps. We met with our meeting also, and the report we're gaining members, and we seem to be doing very well. I don't have the run report yet, but I'll say it at the next meeting. And I'll talk about the Environmental Committee at the new business. Thank you.
Thank you. Recreation and Health Committee, Mrs. Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the Veterans Day ceremony, which was held on the municipal building grounds. We paraded from the American Legion building over to the Public Safety building, and there was a nice ceremony. Mr. Vervoort did a lovely speech. It was a great day to honor our veterans. The Board of Health, we had a rabies clinic the other night. We vaccinated, I didn't, the vet did, I helped, 80 animals. So there was quite a lot of activity going on, a lot of dogs and cats there. It was a fun night. good to see all the residents out and about. Kelly and I will be decorating a tree at Van Soen Park next week. It's part of the Bergen County Winter Wonderland Festival that will be held at Van Soen Park. Each town is invited to decorate a tree to represent their town, and Kelly and I will be decorating that next week, so it should be a fun day. And then I'll have a couple more things under new business, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Mrs. McNamara.
Thank you, Mayor. Our DPW continues with their focus on leaf pickup. Again, anybody can refer to the borough website to see the schedule for their pickups within their districts. They have begun to prep some of the snowplows, some of the smaller snowplows, just in the event that we have a salting event or possible light snow. Knock on wood, we don't. But some of those smaller plows take a little more time, a little more manpower, so they have those at the ready. After that, they'll be moving on to their bigger trucks to set up the plows for those. They've wrapped up basin work. The bathrooms at all of the town parks have been winterized for the season. In terms of the water department, they're waiting for some pieces at Pump 5. They hope to be back online for that well the first week of December. Testing samples have been as expected. Mike said that he has communicated a punch list to Patrick for some upkeep at the well houses that need to be taken care of and addressed. Everything seems to be status quo with previous reports of issues with water at Hemlock and Evergreen. And over on Kennedy Drive, PSE&G has come to mark out the lines. I believe they're just waiting on the hydrant to come in. Once that does, they install, they expect everything to be fine there. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Buildings and Grounds Committee, Mr. Bjork.
Thank you, Mayor. Not a lot to report, but I did visit the insulation project in the Public Safety Building right at the onset of the project. I went over there with Patrick. At that point, they had basically walked along the, I guess it's the west wall of the building, had the ceiling removed, and we're probably getting ready to start framing out. Maybe Patrick can tell us a little bit more about the progress on that since I haven't been back.
They have concluded putting in insulation along the extent of that wall, and it will be inspected tomorrow by the construction official, at which time they can start putting up sheetrock.
Great. So the purpose of this project, as you may have heard if you came to any of the previous meetings, is back when the building was originally built, some of the insulation didn't quite get into the cores of the block as anticipated, and it's always been cold over there, so this should help significantly on our heating invoices as well as the comfort of the officers over there. Also, under resolutions, you'll see we're gonna get a couple credits on a couple projects we've just recently completed. One has to do with the tennis courts where we used less asphalt than anticipated, and then a credit is coming forth on the interior alterations that were down here due to a change in the specifications on the type of barriers that we put up. I'd also like to pass along prayers to former Mayor Toolin's wife, who's battling with some health issues, and that happens to be Terry's sister-in-law as well. So everybody please pray for that family, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Borough Administrator Patrick.
No report. Thank you, Mayor.
Borough Clerk Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Grant Administrator Matthew.
No report. I'll just share Kelly's sentiments and wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Borough Attorney Craig.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two quick items. The Donald Place right-of-way, the mayor signed the closing statement this evening, so we'll be able to close on that property and be done with that. The M&T Bank parking lot, the title company's reviewing the transfer documents and everything, and hopefully once they approve them and M&T approves them, we can close on that. We should be able to close on that by the end of the year as well. That's all, and I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
And we are going into close, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Consent resolutions and resolutions of the governing body.
Be it resolved, sorry, Al will yell at me. Be Be it resolved that the following resolutions herewith listed by consent, having been considered by the governing body of the Borough of Waldwick, are hereby passed and approved. 2021-323, approval of consent. 2021-324, approval of minutes, regular meeting and closed session meeting, November 9, 2021. Policy votes A, approval of Waldwick Lions Club Christmas tree sale starting at 3 p.m. on December 3rd, as well as the use of borough utilities and equipment. B, syncopated seniors request the use of the second floor ambulance corps building on Mondays and Wednesdays starting December 1st through December 31st, 2022, from 9:30 until 11 a.m. for dance practice. 2021-325, endorsing resolution for the Bergen County Home Investment Partnerships Grant 2022 project for Bergen County United Way Madeline Housing Partners LLC for Waldwick Supportive Housing at 289 Wyckoff Avenue. 2021-326, change order number 1 final and final payment to Northeastern Interior Services for Waldwick interior alterations in the amount of $67,750. 2021-327, current estimate number 3 final and change order number 1 final for La Forza Construction LLC for Veterans Park Tennis Court improvements in the amount of $29,918.59. 2021-328, award a fair and open contract to Ford Motor Company for the purchase of 1 police vehicle in the amount of $38,930.24. 2021-329, approval of the employee handbook, personnel policies manual, and policy addressing the protection and safe treatment of minors and frequently asked questions. 2021-330, rescind resolution number 2021-299, appointment of full-time crossing guard John C. Williams. 2021-331, accept resignation of part-time communications officer Shafiq Zarif. 2021-332, refund tax overpayments various. 2021-333, approval of budget appropriation transfers, and 2021-334, payment of vouchers.
Do I have a motion and a second to accept? Motion by Don, second by Joe. On the question. Yes, Don.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm going to address 2021-333. It's a transfer of appropriation funds. Essentially, we had an unanticipated expense at one of the sewer facilities, and you just have to fix those things. And then what we found was we had overfunded the employee group health program for the year, so we're making a transfer. So we're not adding any money to the budget. We're just transferring from one line item to another. This way, we have enough funds in that line item to pay for the repairs that were done.
We're going to have our administrator talk to us about 2021-325.
If we could pull that from consent for discussion.
Anyone else? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple questions and comments. Just for the edification of the public, the dance practice is a nonprofit that's using our facility.
Correct.
Had a couple quick questions on the vouchers, which maybe I don't know if you can answer right here and then, but the lease of the copier, is that for like a full year? I've gone through this a couple of times where we're paying about $100 for the copier. Is that just a single copier or a bunch of our copiers?
That is for 3 copiers, one at Borough Hall, one at the police station, one at DPW.
Okay, and that's for the entire year, basically?
That is a
Like-
monthly amount, $633
Is it that much?
a
Okay, because
month.
when I read these vouchers, sometimes it doesn't tell you what the period is.
Yeah, I believe it's monthly.
Okay, as I had talked about possibly purchasing a copier instead of leasing it at one point, but we can talk about that when we get into budget later on in the year. As far as a couple of the purchases to Amazon, normally, I mean, that's the vendor, we normally get a description of what we purchase, like if we go to Home Hardware, it kind of gets tagged.
Mhm.
So there's a couple purchases in here for like $900. I was just wondering if we can figure out what that's for at some point.
Yeah, we can provide you after the meeting
Yeah.
a further description of each item. Usually it's a lot of smaller items, but Matt puts in all the Amazon orders.
Do you?
You might have
Yeah.
some
Just like,
more
like
info on
office
why that
supplies
was-
Primarily
or whatever
office
you got.
supplies,
Yeah,
smaller items, and
Yeah.
in the requisitions, each item is accounted for, so we can definitely tell you what each
Yeah,
item
just
is.
so when we're looking through these things, we know what they are. And then I had a question about it looks like our planner was involved at 6 Monroe Street. Was that something from the planning board, or what was that about? It says Phillips Priest and
Phillips, yeah,
Geigle
it
at
must-
6 Monroe Street?
Yeah, so it must have been an
Remember,
application before the
there was
board.
something
New
involved with
development.
them?
The new development going in there.
Oh, there's a whole new development going on. Okay, all right, that was it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Clerk, kindly take the roll.
Mr.
Pulling 2021-325.
Correct. Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mr. Orbitz?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalera?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to 325.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution is endorsing the Bergen County Home Investment Partnership Grant for Bergen County United Way. This is for a project that they hope to implement on Wyckoff Ave and Birch. I want just to make it clear to the council and to residents that this resolution endorses only their application to the county for grant funding, CDBG grant funding. It doesn't endorse any aspects of the actual project itself. That project, depending upon the full scope, may come before our construction official or any of our land use boards for approval, at which time those either officials or boards would review the merit of the actual application. This year is just, they hope to develop on that location a home and a few townhouses for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, which on its face is a good endeavor and something that they hope the mayor and council will support. The borough attorney did recommend that we make an edit to the "now therefore be it resolved" sentence in this resolution to clarify that we are only endorsing this funding application. That sentence would read, "Now therefore be it resolved that the governing body of Waldwick hereby confirms endorsement of the aforesaid project with the addition funding application." So with of the aforesaid project funding application.
The members of this,
You're not endorsing the project, you're endorsing them submitting the application.
beginning of the year, the family came to the office where I downstairs and explained to me what they want to do with the property, and just like we just said, that's what they wanted to do with it. So what we're doing now is we're just approving the application of it. They didn't want to, put the house on the market. They felt that they wanted to give it to an organization that could help the residents and the community. Anyone else?
Do we have a rough time frame on how long we think this process will be for the grant?
The only thing we know is that the grant deadline is December 15th.
The
So-
application
The
for it,
application deadline.
but then
yeah.
the review period could be 6 months? or
Yeah, I
something?
don't know, the only experience, I don't have experience with this application. Specifically, we do apply for county CDBG grant funding, and usually if we apply in December, we find out those amounts the following fall or winter.
So is the sale of this home contingent upon that, like approval or anything? We don't know that, or
Not-
it's not going to sit vacant while they're waiting or anything? is it?
Not aware of, we're not, they haven't given us any of those particulars, and this resolution is merely endorsing the
Yeah.
application of the county.
Fair enough.
If I can speak, because I've had some familiarity with projects. Considering that it's United Way that's backing it, most likely what they will do is they will submit their application for land use board approval and start going through that process while the grant
Simultaneously?
yeah, because by the time they go through that process, they will probably hear on their funding. But since it's United Way, it's not like you have a fly-by-night charitable organization behind it. I don't think that if they would lose out on this funding, that the project would die.
Good.
They would still, be able to deal with it.
Okay.
Anyone else? Clerk, kindly take the roll.
I need a motion.
It'd be different. You wanna do another one?
Yeah, sorry, you need a
Okay.
motion and a second, 'cause it's-
Motion and a second we have first. Motion by Don, second by Paul. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mr. Orbitz?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalera?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Okay. We have no adoption of ordinances. We have no introduction of ordinances. Any unfinished business for the council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I was just wondering the status of the slide at the Emily Rice Playground. It was hit by a tree.
Yeah, it should be coming in any day now. I had reached out to Burke, the company that's providing it. They said it was shipped. I can reach out again tomorrow to get specific updates, but it should be in. I know I got the signed PO back today. I have not signed it because it has not been delivered yet, but it should be in soon. The estimated date was about a week ago. They said it was delayed due to, supply chain as going on, but it should be in shortly.
Okay, and then when would they install that? In the spring, I guess?
Depending.
Yeah,
So it depends on the temperature and our leaf program, but we do anticipate installing that with the borough DPW. And if I can add, in an exciting point, that single slide will be replaced with a double slide. So,
I challenge you to a race.
well, it depends which slide you get. Now, one kind of corkscrews and one kind of goes straight, so it depends which one you choose.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other new unfinished business?
Yes,
Go on, Paul.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to talk about the environmental committee. They had a meeting Thursday, for which they discussed a lot of things, new things. They also agreed upon their schedule for next year. And also, we got an email from the environmental director, Mark Raimondo, and he wanted to thank everybody for the styrofoam collection, which I believe they got a 40-yard dumpster full of styrofoam this time. It was, we had, I think the first hour was for residents, and then the additional 3 hours were for out of town also, which we're starting a process with the communities around us doing that, where they open up theirs to us also, so that we get more days of collection. Then we're going to do another one January 8th, but this one worked out very, very well. And he'd like to thank some people here. I'm going to read the list here just so we can thank them. The environmental team and the green team members: David Isaacs, David Zulkowski, Don Montello, Bianca Morosi, Dr. Mohammed Hassan, Dr. Raina Arnova Dawson. The DPW helped out: Mike Latore, Angelo Beal, Marcus Rakowski, and Ezekiel. Municipal leaders, he wanted to thank, the environmental committee wants to thank the mayor, borough clerk for helping out with everything, and Councilman Don Chalero. So I have he sent some pictures along with of the dumpster filled up, so I'd say it was a very big success. At the same time, they're also sending community awareness flyers, which the clerk had put on our website about the new the problem with spotted lantern fire advisory. This was given to us by Bianca Morosi, and they're going to continue to do things like this and send out advisory, but they're also working on a lot of their other issues. They're working on sustainability, bronze status, and we're also working for Mark Raimondo is going to work with the administrator on an ink recycling program, and also we're in the process of working on the anti-idling map for the town, and then we're going to go around to the commercial people, and we're going to ask them to put up signs in their parking lots, as well as put signs up in public areas also. So I wanted to thank the environmental committee. I think they're doing a great job, and they're very, very, very well into it. And the same thing, they're working with Ms. Sherman's beautification committee, and doing a lot of things. They're working on possibly talking about a garden in the spring, I think it was. They're going to work on that, and as well, I'm sure Ms. Sherman's going to tell us about the things that their beautification program is working on also. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other unfinished business? Yes, ma'am.
I think at the last meeting, Mr. Kowalski was asking if we could reach out to the county about getting the roads restriped, or refreshed, I guess. Were you able to make a call to them or email them? Or?
I called them maybe 3 weeks ago, but didn't hear back, so I have to follow up. I was out today taking pictures to send to them.
Yeah, it's fairly washed out in some spots. I never really
Yeah.
paid much attention to it until he mentioned it to me.
Yeah, especially on the High Bridge, on Wyckoff Ave. It's almost unnoticeable. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll be getting pictures of that
Okay.
tomorrow.
And then at the last meeting, we were starting to talk about the noise ordinance. Are we going to talk about that tonight, right now? Because I had kind of made out a little chart of commercial versus homeowner, weekends, holidays, all that stuff. Or are we going to do that later on, or different night?
We will. Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, I hadn't heard back from any council members specifically in follow-up to our conversation last week about specific times. That's kind of what we need to decide on. I think everyone agrees on general restrictions. Obviously, there's nothing prepared for introduction tonight. We can't have ordinances span the the new year, so anything to be considered will be introduced in January. So we have some time to develop an ordinance. You know, if you have ideas, definitely share them with me, as well as other council members. Absent kind of a consensus from the council, I can just propose something early January, at least, you know, maybe that could be a kickoff for a conversation.
Yeah, or maybe like a questionnaire or like a chart and say, you know, here's Monday through Friday, here's Saturday, Sunday, holidays, here's commercial homeowner usage. And, you know, I had talked a little bit about the different types of gas-powered equipment. I mean, a chainsaw versus a leaf blower versus a snow blower, you know. And, you know, as I was doing my leaves this weekend on Sunday, I was thinking, people are out working everywhere, but I think mostly homeowners. So if we can maybe get a questionnaire to all of us, that might kind of consolidate everybody's thoughts.
I know that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other unfinished business?
Yeah. For Patrick, are we going to, 336, are you going to make that a new business or no?
New business.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, new business.
New business. Just remind everybody that Sunday at 4:30, we'll be having the menorah lighting at the front of the library. We are bringing in a cantor from Teaneck, and also we'll be handing out gelts. There'll be the cantor, she will be saying some prayers and saying a couple of songs, and then she will be handing out the gelts for us. Starts at 4:30. If you go to the library right now, the candle is there, not lit yet, but we will light the first one on Sunday at 4:30, and every day afterwards at 4:30, the other candle will be lit. And then also the week later will be the tree lighting ceremony, also at the library grounds there, and which time they will have light refreshments, a little bit different than what we've done before because of COVID. Nothing will be poured for anybody. It'll be like a juice box for a child to take home, and that'll be it. So we'll have the two main events that are coming into our borough in November, one, and then in December, the other one. Any other new business? Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention the Beautification Committee received a donation from the Chamber of Commerce, the 5K Committee, in the amount of $500 to be put towards our beautification of Waldwick. So we're very grateful to the Chamber for that donation, and it's going to be saved for us for future usage. And also, I wanted to mention to the mayor and council that the Beautification Committee is looking to expand upon the motto of the town, the light in the woods. And we found candles that are similar to the logo, and we want to start looking at ways to sell them in the borough and try and get everyone to put a candle in their window, so we'll truly be the light in the woods. So we'll have more information on that soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business? Yes.
They're battery operated, Joe.
Thank you. I got a little nervous there. I don't.
Just don't put it near your head. Yeah, Nicole.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I saw something about a resident supposedly wanting to have us discuss parking on a lawn. I would tell you that I don't think that's a great idea. Commercially, you're not allowed to do it. You're not supposed to park off of unpaved surfaces. The only thing I would say is possibly I'd open a crack and say maybe on a temporary basis under some type of unusual circumstance where a homeowner's got a little bit of a hardship. Maybe they've got a broken car for a week and a half or 2 weeks. I don't know if anybody else on the council thought about it much, but can you give us a little, is there like an incident that this particular person was trying to get alleviated, or is it a?
The resident that brought this forward is having problems with their neighbor. And the person was having his driveway paved, and instead of putting it in the side street, he put it on his grass. He lives on Wyckoff Avenue. The neighbor, who is a frequent person in Patrick's office or on the phone with Kelly, did not like this, and she had the cops go there and give it to him.
Well, I mean, there's an example of maybe a 48-hour temporary waiver we could possibly issue when somebody's got a real problem like that, but I don't know what anybody else thought. But certainly not on a regular basis and not for a month or even multiple weeks, in my opinion.
Some of the residents on this side of town, when it snows, they put their cars on the grass, because they have nowhere.
Yeah, for just a quick
which
temporary.
is something that we cannot say no to them, because, I mean, it's snowing, where are you gonna put your car?
Exactly, yeah. I mean,
And we have to plow the streets, we gotta get the streets safe, so. We
I
have
had to
to
do it one
look at
time
that
because my driveway's so steep, my car just slides down the driveway, so I've had to park off on the grass on the side where it's level maybe 2 times in my 30 years here, but it happens, you know?
Yeah.
So if there's no avenue to get a temporary thing, maybe we ought to consider allowing somebody 24 hours, 48 hours every once in a while. Limit the number of times they can ask in a year.
Well, in this case also, the police officers went to the resident's home and told the resident to move the car, or else you're gonna get a ticket, and the resident said, I'm eating my dinner, I'm not moving it. So, I mean, they did give them time to move it, and
Oh, yeah,
it was
yeah.
more than just, he got a ticket. It was
Yeah.
the way in which things came about.
Absolutely, I have no problem with the ticket being issued, but I was just talking about the temporary aspect of it.
I don't know if we're taking opinion polls on this, but I am in favor of never allowing it other than snowstorms. Even if someone is paving their driveway or whatever, they could park on a side street and walk to their home. I think it's a bad look for the borough to have cars parked on front lawns, and people really work hard to keep their properties nice in our borough, and I think parking a car on a front lawn does not make your property look nice, so I will always vote no. Thank you.
Anyone else on the,
Mr. Mayor, I
Yes.
completely agree with Ms. Sherman and Craig about this. With certain exceptions, well, obviously the snow exception, I think it doesn't look good. I think it ruins the lawns along with that, if we grow grass, we want to have, we're not in the middle of the woods. I mean, we're not, gravel parking lots, if you're allowed that, but not on the grass. And I also am against parking on, I don't know if it's illegal to park on the sidewalk between your apron also, but I've seen that a lot of times too. I've had to do it when I had too many cars to put it on the apron just for snow, but then we took it right off. But I've seen that many times before, and I don't think that makes people walk around the sidewalks and go into the streets, and that's not only doesn't look good, it's also dangerous. So I don't agree at all with letting anybody park on the grass.
would you like to talk about?
I think we have one resolution. Maybe we do the resolution. Want to do the resolution?
Can I just bring up one new business thing before we go
Sure,
into that?
absolutely.
I just wanted to recognize a student, a Waldwick resident, Ethan Nashhold, won a first place competition in the student category for a photo that he submitted to the New Jersey Monthly Magazine Unique Photo Contest. And he won first place. It will be published in the December issue of the magazine. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing for one of our young residents here in town. And I know they've gone, but I just wanted to reiterate how wonderful the boys soccer team was. We went to a bunch of their playoff games this year. I saw Mr. Farricker at the final, and I mean, it was like 5 or 6 straight shutout games. Their defense was amazing. They were a really fun team to watch, and I even know my littles were excited to watch them. So I just wanted to go on the record and say that they were really uplifting for our town, and it was great.
Well, they'll do it again next year.
I hope so. No pressure.
That's it, no pressure at all. Anyone else?
There's a resolution we asked be added to the agenda tonight. This is Resolution 2021-336. It is printed on a pink fuchsia paper here. The resolution is for a refund from our trust balance to Waldwick Warrior Hoops Basketball. The borough collects, well, I should say Warrior Hoops has a registration page for their program, and they then transfer money to the borough, and they had paid out expenses from borough accounts, so through the PO system, requisition system. It's not a requirement that they do so, and it creates some burdens for them to do so. Obviously, you're aware of the burdens that come along with the municipal purchasing system. and local public contracts law. So they had requested that those registration fees be refunded to them so that they could pay their own expenses out. They have or are in the process of establishing their own nonprofit, establishing their bank accounts, getting a federal ID number, taxpayer ID number. And so the request is that once all that information is established to the satisfaction of the CFO, that these funds be reimbursed to Waldwick Warrior Junior Hoops. The total funds that the borough currently has in our trust fund is $81,774.23. It may happen that additional registrations come in and then additional funds be transferred to us. So if any future amounts, which would be much smaller, come in, this resolution will also authorize the transfer of that money back to Waldwick Warrior Junior Hoops.
What is all their money?
It is their money. Yep, it is. They've collected it for programs that they run.
Do I have a motion and a second?
I have questions.
We're going to do it in the question.
Okay.
A motion by Nicole, second by Don on the questions. Nicole?
How does insurance work now with them? Is there any kind of, like,
No effect.
okay,
No effect. I think there was an assumption previously that the borough had to either have the money from the organization or fund themselves a sports organization for it to be covered as a quasi under the borough's insurance program. That's not the case, and so that's why there's no effect on that if we refund the money.
okay.
Anyone else? Would the clerk kindly take the roll?
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mr. Orbitz?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Any other new business?
I have one item, Mayor. The Waldwick High School principal reached out to me today requesting that the mayor and council consider allowing a caravan for the Waldwick boys soccer team. That would take place this Sunday at 11 a.m. It would be approximately 20 cars that would travel from Traphagen School along Prospect Street, Franklin Turnpike, Wyckoff Ave to the high school. And I should add, I do not believe that there are any events either before the start of this at Traphagen or at the conclusion at the Waldwick High School. I think the entirety of what they had planned for Sunday is this caravan.
Did they give you any other idea of, they're saying 20 cars, are you decorating the cars, are they going through the streets with the cars? Do they know, are we going to issue restrictions? I'd hate to have them standing on top of their cars driving through the town. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's, they could get hurt.
Sure. The concern would be that the roads wouldn't be shut down, so these would be active roadways that the caravan would be escorted through by the police department. So with that, obviously, comes some concern. And I had seen, in previous caravans, we'd seen some of those concerns that you mentioned.
If it's approved, I think we should let them know that they have to be very careful with the way they drive, or the way they're sitting in the vehicle. When we had the drive-through for the graduation, we made sure, and the police made sure that they did not stand up outside of a sunroof or moonroof. And there were plenty of kids doing that, and it was kind of dangerous. And I don't want to get nobody hurt. I would not like to see anybody in the borough get hurt. But it's up to the council with your preferences. You want to start that way?
Well, so they're asking for permission to have the caravan and a police escort to go from one Traphagen to the high school, and they don't need anything else from us.
No,
That's all we're deciding here.
Yeah, and the caravan would, obviously, it requires police resources, so we would have to
Okay.
bring in 2 police officers
Okay.
on overtime.
And
And we would
the-
be shutting down, for a time at least,
For a little time.
the intersections of Franklin Turnpike and Wyckoff Avenue.
And do the police have the resources to do this? Did we check with them yet?
On overtime, they have the
Right,
ability.
okay. And I guess you're right. You can only control so much. You don't get a state champion every year, so we don't have a lot of experience with this. But we do have the graduation experience, so we want to make sure that it's done safely. So I'm okay with doing it as long as we convey a message to the leadership of the school that they monitor that.
Yeah, and you have, if you would just emphasize.
So,
Emphasize that twice before, they were told to follow some guidelines and they didn't. So please follow them for their safety issue.
the schools are closed on Sunday, so, I'm not sure what the involvement will be from the school district. And certainly this is last minute, so I got the request today. But we could find out, if that's a stipulation of the mayor and council, that the district be involved. Certainly that can be a request that we make of the school.
Well, somebody has to parents or some coaches have to be there.
We should reach the principal.
The principal reached out to me.
Well, then why don't we reach out to the principal and make sure the principal will
Clear
be there.
Sunday.
That he'll make sure that everything is done the right way. They've done, before Mr. Carroll was there and, he organized everything, he made sure all the cars were lined up the right way. But then once you take off, it's a different story. Paul?
I agree with Councilman Scalero, and I think we should do this. I do agree completely with you that you have to get the school system involved in it, and they have to control the situation. And you might warn them that if the police see them sticking their heads out of the thing, warn them to get back in. If not, then the thing will be shut down.
The difficult part of that is, again, they're operating in active traffic, not at a parade speed, so compliance short of pulling a vehicle over is difficult. And we saw that with the graduation.
If they come to us for something else, then we could use that as what would you do? Joe?
I agree with you, Mayor. I think I would agree to let them do it, but it has to be under close supervision of the police department.
It's safety is a big issue.
No, I got nothing to say. I agree with you.
Okay.
I have a great concern. It is an open roadway. We did see what the students did last year, and that was during a school day. The children, sticking their heads out, standing up in their car. While I do congratulate the children on this wonderful accomplishment, I have concerns of why it's on a Sunday and the schools are closed. Who's in charge of ensuring this? Can the borough be held liable if any of these kids are hurt because our police officers are escorting them? And who's paying the police overtime? That's my concern. I'm sorry to be a buzzkill, but I'm concerned for, 17 and 18-year-olds to be driving a celebratory caravan through the streets. It's just my concern.
I'm okay with it. I don't foresee them driving 45 miles down the road through town. It's on a Sunday when there's less cars on the road, thanks to our blue laws here. Like one of you said, it's not every day that we have a state champion, and I think they should be recognized. And I'm sure whether it's the district or their principal or their parents, they will let them know to drive safely and be respectful of other drivers and kids walking or riding their bikes through the street. Again, they're not going to be driving 45, 50 miles around town. I would just, they deserve a little bit of the glory, so I'm sure they'll be driving slowly to soak it in as people are driving by.
Well, the consensus is that this will be done. The only thing is tomorrow we can reach out to Mr. Carroll and explain to him the concerns we have. We need to have him there or a member of school there. I hate to put this burden on the parents when they want to celebrate, so, why should they have to worry about that? And just let him realize that, to be a little bit careful.
Sure. And on the liability front, is there any request that this be a school-sanctioned event?
I don't think it's not a school sanction. They're
Well,
asking us to do it.
That's fine.
But the principal called and he initiated the request.
But it's not being done.
It's not through the school. It's just like when we had the caravan for the graduation, all the responsibility was on us. it was our liability.
I mean, we also did birthday caravans through, well, we didn't, but people did through town for a month and a half or 2 months, and there were no issues.
We weren't involved with that one.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
they-
saying,
yeah.
there's a precedent where there haven't been any issues.
Because as I said, I don't want no one to get hurt, and if somebody does get hurt, I don't need to have the school say, no, it's not our fault, it's your fault, or your problem. If somebody got hurt, we shouldn't talk about it. We just should make sure nothing happens.
Mayor, in terms of the payment to the police officers, I know like when we have the carnival, there's certain allotments to allow for the police to donate some time to these events. Is that an option for this? I know like when we have the carnival for 5 days, we get a day or so free. Is there anything like that available to us?
I don't even know, the police don't even know nothing.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, I don't know like how it works, if you approach them and they need to put an officer or two on for Sunday, if it's, if it fall under that caveat or whatever.
I guess we'll go back to, are we asking or is the school asking?
Well,
We're asking.
initially, we got to ask the police if they're willing to do it, whether we're asking them for it for the benefit of the Board of Ed or for the mayor and council, we still need to ask.
Yeah, I mean, the request can be made, sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, if we're gonna say yes to this, I think we're gonna have to take it into our I mean, to nickel and dime the Board of Ed for the police officers, if we're saying you said yes to it, I think we should just give it to them. Say, this is what you do, congratulations, just be very careful. And have somebody that we know is gonna be in charge there. I mean, reach out to the police safety officer. And, of course, the police chief, to see, what his ideas are too, because we need their input too. So before we reach out to Mr. Carroll, speak to the police and see what they think. And let them know, Greg's concern and all our concerns about that, but I think we're gonna have to take this one and just do it.
Agreed, yeah, if we have to do it,
We have
we pay for it,
We
and
have to.
whatever.
I mean, it's like Don said, we don't have this all the time, but we're doing it this year, hopefully we do it again next year.
They had 15 seniors, though, it's gonna be a tough one.
They
Well,
said
you
it's
never
10,
know.
it's 10 cars,
Well, they had said
or 20 cars, so
Yeah,
it'll
we
be
are-
like a 15-minute operation.
I think when they had the high school graduation, it was not even there. I think it was like,
Not even, okay.
Going for trap picking to the high school.
Yeah.
yeah, and we need
Not a
this.
long drive.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have to also know what the route is, so that Kelly could put it out there saying, if
Yeah.
you're in the street this day,
But I,
scream or something, or just be careful if you're in the street.
yeah, what Principal Carroll had expressed is they would hope that residents would come out along the route to cheer on the caravan. So it's something that, if we're going to do it, the borough would put out information to the public to encourage them to view the caravan.
Mr. Mayor, I think I've been coached a lot of sports in the past 15 years. And I don't remember the last time we had a state champion. We've had state sectionals, but not state champions.
It's a good thing to
Five
do.
was last time.
Yeah.
The football team was around then too.
Any other new business?
Just,
Every time, it's all good. I just wanted to recognize one more student. Joe Capuzzo went to the state championships for track for Waldwick High School, and it was the first time since, I think, 1998, where Waldwick High School has been represented down in Holmdel for the state. So just another shout out to our students.
Good, thank you.
Patrick, I don't know if you reported back on that emergency watershed protection. Did you hear from all the council people? You were gonna, I think you said, speak to each of them, engage our
Yes.
interest in it, and I know I sent you a little a note, but I didn't hear anything about it.
I have not heard from all the council members, so I'll follow up with them individually. Yeah.
All right, well, for what it's worth, I thought it was worth looking into, but
Yeah.
I don't want the town spending a lot of money on this, but this is soil erosion along the brook over by Worley Crescent, and you wrote back to me about the methodology of stabilizing the bank. So you guys might just want to look into that a little further. I didn't know.
Yep, thank you.
Any other new business? If not, we're going to close the new business of the council, open up the public. Anybody from the public would like to comment on anything, please come to the microphone. Please state your name and address for our records, please.
Janet Haskell, 98 Longview Drive. Can we go back to that resolution 2021-325, and maybe you can explain it, because I don't quite understand how this all came about. I mean, I don't know if the attorney's going to, or
Sure, I can. Bergen County United Way is a contract purchaser for the parcel of property at the corner of Wyckoff Avenue and Birch Lane.
So they bought it from the homeowner?
They're the contract purchaser, so I'm not sure, is it closed or if they are under contract for it? As it's described to me, they're the contract purchaser for that property. Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah, it's my understanding.
Yeah. So it's a large parcel, and they intend to subdivide 2 lots from the parcel and develop a third into a home and 3 townhouses. And they are asking the borough's support for the application for grant funding only. So, depending on if they move forward with any application to subdivide a lot, obviously that would go before a land use board. Any construction of the actual buildings on the property would either need to comply with borough land use ordinances or apply for a variance for any of those. So, that application, exactly what is built there, how it's built, isn't being discussed in this resolution, simply that, this resolution supports the endeavor for the United Way to apply to Bergen County to receive grant funding to build a home for intellectual and developmental disability youth.
So they'll be getting money from someplace else to continue to
Yep, they
do
would get
that.
Bergen County CDBG money. And it's similar money that the borough applies for through the Bergen County CDBG, which is a community development block grant program. This is specifically the home investment partnership, but we don't compete with any money with them. This doesn't take any money from the borough. It doesn't financially obligate us to either any grant funding or any project funding, and it doesn't obligate the borough, its boards, or any of its officials to any application made by this group for that development.
So who found the United Way? The homeowners who went after the United Way to do that? And you knew about that like in the beginning of the year?
They talked to us about it, but then they said they'll get back to us and tell us what their decisions are, and then that's when we found out about it.
So then they only let you know about it recently? Because it's 15 days, what I'm trying to say is, I live near there, and first seeing it on here is, I think the public should have known.
Well-
Not that we could stop it, but just like the Bristol, we tried, the Bristol.
Well, if
Nobody
this
wanted
goes
that
in
or
front of
whatever.
the Board of Adjustment, that's when the public has the right to go there, and like you did with whoever went with Bristol. You have a right to go to their meetings and voice your opinion and your concern. At that point, that's when everything would be, the public has a right to voice their opinion on it. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Sorry. I'm Maureen Daniels, and I live at 43 Lockwood Drive. Same topic. Is it your understanding that this development would be part of Waldwick's fair share plan, as I understand it?
It could meet some of our affordable housing obligations.
Obligations under that plan?
Yeah.
And you mentioned that it would require variances, potentially, not rezoning. You're not changing the zoning of the area. So this application wouldn't, this land use wouldn't apply to other properties on Wyckoff Avenue, just this one development.
So there has not been any request to the mayor and council to change the zoning there, whatever. So
Okay.
whatever the zoning is there, they would have to either comply with the zoning or seek a
Or
use
seek
variance
variance.
or variance from the zoning
That's
board of
fine.
adjustment.
And that
Right.
clearly then would only apply to the parcel being talked
Correct.
about. Okay.
Correct.
And lastly, those are my, I do want to thank you for publishing the meeting packet, which enabled me to read through and actually understand that this movement was afoot. So I appreciate the transparency that that shows. And I just want to then bring to your attention that in kind of researching what this might be about, I came across a listing on apartments.com for 4 one-bedroom units that you could, were described at 289 Wyckoff, and were described as having future existence, and that you could contact the leasing agent and take a look at the proposed floor plan. And nothing in that listing, and I don't know the genesis of the listing, but nothing in the listing indicated kind of a target tenant of the type you described, developmentally disabled or low income, nothing descriptive. So it sounded like if you were looking for one of 4 one-bedroom apartments at 289 Wyckoff, you could check them out on apartments.com. That seems slightly out of sync with
Yeah.
this. So just to bring that to your attention
you.
in case we're working at cross purposes, because I think the public would have a different view of 4 one-bedroom apartments in a family
Right.
community. Okay?
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Al, I know you're waiting. Your hand was up.
Al Colden, Dante Place. As to this caravan, from what I can see, all these boys are very respectable boys. And I think if we can get their coach to be there in that caravan, they would respect him first of all. And then you are going to have a policeman there. They'll be watching him very, very closely. I can't see it's a problem when East Rutherford, back in '47, won the championship. We just got in cars and speeded around the towns. We didn't even, think to ask. What the hell? You know.
Did they have horses?
They had horses in 47.
Also, they have.
No. We had horses, but it still worked out pretty well.
No, we're just concerned about safety.
No, I can
And-
see.
And if
I
you saw the
heard.
coaches were here tonight, they're going to probably be there all the way with their guys. But we just want to be cautious. That's all.
Well, I just think you ought to give them a chance.
Well, we are. They're going to be going through the town. We could tell them to stop at your house, and you could hand them out stuff.
Anytime, Mayor, anytime. And then the second thing, I'd like to commend the Public Works again, as I do every year. They do a fantastic job on them streets. When they're finished with that street, it's just beautiful. But this year, the very next day, 6 people had all their leaves out, loaded in the curb already, and they're not going to pick them up until December 13th. Isn't there some way, you can say you can't put the leaves out till 5 days before or something?
Kelly sends emails out to everybody. People call on the phone asking us when the
I
leaves
tell
are
you,
supposed to be done.
I didn't get an email.
I'm sorry?
She didn't send me one.
Well, if someone calls and asks about the leaves, when they're going to be picked up or not,
No.
Kelly makes sure everyone knows about it. You could tell people what the policy is, if they want to do what they want to do. It's hard to, you can't just go after everybody because they do that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't follow the rules like you do.
Well, both of my neighbors do what I do because I tell them what to do. But, it's a long street, and, you pull in already, a brand-new street, we just had it paved, full of leaves on both sides. Now, Thanksgiving, I'm going to have about 7 cars over the family, and we really can't park because of the leaves out in the road. It could be a problem.
We tried it best.
Sounds like a lawn parking thing, Al.
Could I park on the lawn?
You can't park on the lawn, unless it's snowing.
We have to.
Unless it snowed.
You won't give me the okay, huh?
Is that it? You have a happy Thanksgiving, you and your family.
You all have.
And
a
all your
happy
7 cars are going to be
Thanksgiving, all
parked in the
of you.
street.
I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Kara Centennial, 111 Longview Drive. I just want to talk about the parade for a minute. We had an idea, instead of the kids all driving, could we get the band float that they use in the parade, and they could all just be on the float, then no one's driving, it's faster, it's just one thing going by, the kids are together, and it might be safer and alleviate a lot of the concerns. I mean, you could have the coach and the principal in the front, whatever, in their cars, as adults or whatever, but is there any way that they could use that?
Well, the band float is not ours. It's a private organization's float. And they would charge them to do it, but from what Mr. Carroll said is he would like to have a caravan.
Right, and I talked to Mr. Carroll, and if the float was an option, he'd be okay with that?
He would have, we could give him the phone number of the company that owns the float. We'll get it for you. You can call Kelly tomorrow.
Okay.
We could ask the Waldwick Band if they would like to do it. They're not part of us.
Okay.
It's called the Waldwick Band.
Okay.
That band was originated way back in the 40s. It used to be called the Waldwick Fire Department Band. Then they broke away from the fire department, and then they have their own band. And they travel all around to different towns. They're in the Ridgewood Parade.
Oh, yeah,
They're in
yeah.
our Memorial Day Parade.
I'm a
They go
lifelong
to
resident, I've
Allendale.
seen them
Right.
for many years here.
So you would have to, the school would have to reach out to them and handle that. Now, you're doing that, then we are not responsible for anything that happens there with the float, unfortunately. But I don't think Mr. Carroll wants this. He already spoke with us and said he wants to have a caravan.
Right, we
car.
talked after his email.
Could I
So,
add just to that point?
Sure.
I would only caution about a float. This would be operating in active traffic lanes. So you have cars in both directions with speed limits, and the concern would be people on a float wouldn't be seat belted. And so even though that float may be operating safely, the concern about other vehicles, especially as you cross active intersections, would just be a concern that the mayor and council should consider. And the float would go much slower than the caravan would be expected to go, so it would have other traffic implications.
slower would be good. I was at both grad ball parades, and the second one was actually very fast, and that one I thought was too quick. The first one was at a much slower pace. So, I mean, slower would be good, but, so are we saying that if they have the float, it's not a town thing anymore, and that?
I don't even know if they'll give you the float. I mean, we
Right,
can't
of
speak
course,
to them,
that's,
and
we
I
have
don't-
to check into that, but I
I
just
don't know
don't
if
understand.
you're gonna be able to get them by Sunday.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, don't they have their own liability?
Right, I think there's a confusion between a parade
Yes.
Right.
and a driving caravan of cars. Your float, the idea of a float
It's
is
a
more
parade.
similar to a parade, where you're shutting down roads, and it's a bigger thing than just a caravan of cars. An oncoming traffic.
I mean, we're gonna go by what Mr. Carroll asked of us, and that's what we voted on. So we're gonna
Okay.
have to go by that.
That's fine, that's fine. I just thought it might be a safety solution if we were going slower and they were all in one car and you didn't have all the boys driving. But the other request, I don't know how to request it, I'm assuming it's here, it'll probably be in an eventual email, would also be, I don't know if you've ever seen in other towns, signs that say home of 2021 soccer state champions. Is that something that we could pursue? You know, on the entrance into town, there's usually like a metal, almost street sign quality.
Like a banner by the 17 ramp or something?
Well,
like
it would
that?
actually be like a permanent one. Like I've gone into many towns and I've seen them, you know, Little League and they're metal.
Got it.
You know, they're like street sign ones. So when you like come into town, you would see it.
Our administrator will reach out to Dr. Castorico and see if he has any plans to do anything like that. He might wanna put something on the school property, we don't know. I mean, this is all new to us right now.
Right, right.
And we can't commit to anything because we don't do anything without speaking to the superintendent.
That's great, and I know the Board of Ed is on board with it too, if you need, you know, the president. of
Our
them or whatever.
administrator will reach out to Dr.
Okay. And just another, I also happen to live up by Wyckoff Ave or whatever. So it would be, are you saying 3 townhomes on that lot? Is that what they're potentially proposing? Because they're not going to go forward with this request for a grant unless they have a really good feeling that they're gonna be able to build what they want.
No, so let me explain how the United Way works, because I think there's confusion. The United Way has a potential project. Before they even start with anything, they got to raise funds. So one part of their fundraising is they're submitting a grant application to Bergen County because there's money available through Bergen County, through the Bergen County Home Investment Partnership. I can presume, because I've done projects with the United Way before, they've probably submitted some applications to the federal government and to some other nonprofits for funding where they now raise funds, and then depending on the funding they get, they present the project, in this case, this one here, 289 Wyckoff. So it's in probably the early stages of them fundraising, and that's what the council endorsed tonight, is them submitting an application for potential Bergen County funding. Where it goes from there, they have to submit a land use application, because from what the proposal is, there's going to be a subdivision involved, and there's going to be townhomes as well as this group home. And once all of that gets ironed out, it'll come before the planning board or the zoning board, and the public hearings will start from there.
And how does it work with taxes on them?
They get taxed.
They do just like everything else?
Right.
Okay. One last thing, can't thank you enough for having the soccer team here and appreciating them. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Hi, Mary Beth Nappy, 99 Manhattan Avenue. The Walder Chamber of Commerce, for this Saturday, it's Small Business Saturday. Just wanted to mention if maybe we can get something out to the townwide email to support small businesses. They're the heart of our community, they're the backbone of our community, and they're the dreams of our people here in Waldwick. Is that something I can get something out?
Kelly will put it out tomorrow.
Okay. And just basically, if we can get it out every Friday, like until the holidays. American Express used to give a lot of propaganda and give a lot of different things to all the small businesses. They're not really doing that any longer. So we were trying to do something just within town to possibly do something, maybe just remind everybody to shop small.
Why don't you drop Kelly an email so she has it?
Okay, I'll send something out tonight, because I realize it's already Tuesday and tomorrow's your deadline probably to have everything in.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
give her
guys
an
are
email
working.
and she'll do it.
And on the point, Kevin Carroll will be there. I just sent him a quick text because he's also a dad. He's the father of one of the guys. And I like the float idea too. I was just texting a few people to see who had the float. If you're going to be doing the parade, the caravan, you're stopping traffic when they come out of Traphagen. Is that how they would do it?
We don't know nothing about this.
Yeah.
Nobody told us anything yet. They just asked.
Yeah,
us to
but
say-
what would you propose? You would want to?
Patrick's going to sit down and talk to
Okay.
probably Mr. Carroll and our police department, find out what route they're going and how they're going to do it.
Okay.
As I said, right now, it's just,
Because, for the other one, they went down Franklin Turnpike instead of,
They would go from Traphagen School, at least what's being considered now. They would go from Traphagen School south to East Prospect Street, west to Franklin Turnpike, down to Wyckoff, and then west out to the high school, and end at the high school.
okay. I'm just curious to see whether or not, why you wouldn't consider just blocking it off for 10 minutes.
Blocking
That's
what
what
off
they
for
asked
10
for.
minutes.
Yeah.
Like a parade, you mean?
Yeah, more or less. Because if you're going to have the cars going there, you don't really want traffic going back and forth.
Yeah, the request is for a caravan, and traffic would be going back and forth. You wouldn't, it would be, anything's possible if everyone wants to do it, but, that would take additional planning.
Yeah. No,
And
I'm just wondering.
additional resources from the police department and additional, disruption of traffic, but, all things that could be addressed if that's the route.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. I get it. They all want to stand out of the sunroof. That's why the float might be a better idea. They want them to see, they want to see them. They want to see, I get it. Okay, that was it. Okay, thank you, and I'll get that out to you tonight, Kelly.
anyone else?
Hi, Dolores Keneally, Kennedy Drive. Just getting back to that thing about the cars, park lawns, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to see cars parked on the lawns all the time either. I get the snow thing, yes, because I walk my dog even in bad weather, and I've seen in bad weather cars parked up because the plows have to get through, and I have no problem with that because as soon as they can dig them out, they get them out. I think somebody doing their driveway or something like that, if somebody needs to put their car for 2 days for the driveway to finish drying, if there's not parking on their street, that we have some blocks that are blocks and blocks long, some blocks that are 1 block long. We have people that are seniors, elderly, people with disabilities, things like that, that park in their car 2 blocks up and a block around the corner might not be as convenient. I don't want to see it all the time either, but I think that if we have something, you know, like we put up for people when they're going to do block parties, to put up things like that, that I'm doing my driveway today, is it okay, given this circumstance, that I am allowed to do that? I think that it's just something that we should never say never. I think that that's going to block you into a corner when you're not in their boat. So I think that we should just, you know, take some consideration for that type of thing. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? If not, do I have a motion to go into close? Motion by Paul, second by Don. All those in favor? All those opposed? Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving and a great Thanksgiving weekend.
Mayor, for the closed session, I would expect that it would be at least an hour and that there would be action taken upon the conclusion of the closed session.